All right, mic check test. I'm just playing. I tested it like twice before this video. What's going on, you guys? It's your boy 3Stacks in this thing, baby, representing Team Kings of Games. I have a super ridiculously overpowered deck to showcase you guys, and I got a new mic. It's a blue. What does it say? It's a Snowball Ice. Bought it at Walmart. One of my best friends recommended it to me because he uses, well, I think he used to use one like this. But hopefully this affects quality. If it still bothers you, I'm sorry, man. I do respond to comments. I do hear you guys' feedback. And I don't take it in a subtle manner. I actually take heed to it. And so when you guys tell me stuff bothers you, I try to correct it. But also at the same time, something I've learned in my time on this earth, you can't please everybody, bro. So I can still do the best that I can, but not at the same time, I'm not gonna be able to just bend the knee, to please everybody. I want everybody to be satisfied with my channel, though, which is why I take the strides that I take to make sure that I'm correcting the things that really do grind you guys' gears or bother you. But let's get back into it. PK Fire, you guys. This is the deck that I'm showcasing you guys. This list is actually really crazy. It kind of doesn't really make sense how powerful this deck is. I think it plays through interruptions in a very similar but almost better standing than Adamantipator's does. It might sound exaggerated, but I'm not gonna lie, bro. I'll show you guys the replays to show me playing through double Imperm, Droplets, and Dragma Punishment, and then playing on a separate duel. Like my opponent had like Ash Blossom, he had a Conquistador, he had Punishment, and he had Fleur de Lis. That's still 4 interrupts. We're over here just breaking boards the long way. I beat Dragon Link with this deck. I beat Dragma Invoke. I beat Numeron Eldritch. I beat Eldritch Synchro. I beat Dragma Eldritch. I beat a lot of decks with this deck. I played through like Ash, Nibiru, Gammas, Ogres. Like, I don't think I've ever just lost to hand traps or interrupts. Even if my opponent simplifies what I'm doing and plays mediocre, I still end on like something like 1 or 2 interrupts. And as I was testing, because I am gonna show you guys the replays, so like before I get into the list, as I was testing, I did start this off initially as a 45 card list, but I ended up converting it to a 60 card list. I was playing Evil Storm Nightmare and the Ring 3 Sasada King. And then I switched those out for Dragoon and Verdict Anaconda, and this has not been failing me. It's like the card is like a plan B. I think of it like when I played Pendulum Orcust, whenever I got hand trapped on Serpent and Electrum, and my Guard Dragon combo got like Ghost Ogre, I would just Orcust combo through 3 hand traps and still end on double counter trap, Divine Strike, and Crescendo, which is still insane. Very similar with this deck because you bait so many hand traps inherently. I've shown you guys replays playing through Nibiru, playing through Imperm Ash, Ogre, playing through Macabre, Fleur de Lis, just like all this crazy stuff. Like, this deck is really strong pushing. Even if you're Buster Locked with Dragon Link, like, it's so beautiful being able to grind with Fog Blades and just slowly, like, you can slowly chip away their board, baiting Borlo Savage. He has no more counters, and just fart for the Savage, and then you have your extra deck now because he leads with all his equips. There's so much that like this deck can do. It's actually really, really broken. I think this deck, I don't say this a lot, but I personally think this deck is tier 0. And I'm not a person that's just going to overhype every single deck that I see that's good. If a deck's good, it's good. Adamantipator's, for me, before Block Dragon got banned, was a deck that you could say it would have almost been tier 0. If you were playing like PKs and Verde inside of it, you would do silly boards. But I think this deck, from the standpoint of being a combo deck, I think it's probably going to be the strongest combo deck, in my opinion. So as you guys see, I do have a 60 card list for you guys. So obviously I don't net deck because I don't really like net decking. And I didn't want to play the 45 card list that I was playing before because I just started slowly, things were coming up more and more. Cards like Barbar for time and like Calcap for back row, like Alix, so that you could just send it for costs off of Cherubini and bait negate. There's just things that came up as I was dueling with this deck that's the beauty of the list I'm showcasing you guys. As the list changed, the more and more I played it and the better I got with it. So this is a fine-tuned and refined list that I'm showcasing you guys. After a lot of playtesting, I found that this had the highest yield and the greatest impact in the terms of the results that I got. I will show the duels, and I will show you guys the 1-card combos and the 2-card combos and stuff like that. Or I could just top up the 2 ones. But anyways, get into the list. So I'll explain really strong interactions that really allow this deck to be as good as I said it is, because this deck is not going to be that good initially if you don't know what you're doing, or if you only know half of what you're doing, if that makes sense. But I do play Dark Magician and Red Eyes, because I do play Verde. It's my backup plan, because I can bait a lot of hand traps. You have several must negates with this deck. Must negates like Cherubini, Dante, you have Rusty Bardish. You can also go into F-Zero. That's not only a must negate, but it baits a negate inherently. And then you have like all your PKs, which all do stuff that's really relevant. Searching and special summoning, and just a lot of extenders in this deck. BAs bait negates by themselves. And also just inherently sitting them for cost with Cherubini baits negates by dumping cards like Farfla and Alic for cost, which is broken. So even if they negate Cherubini, separate chain, you bait another negate, you know, make Rusty, it gets negated, then you just follow up with Verde and Anaconda. You guys will see in the replays, it happens. I think one duel I played through, like, yeah, it was Imperm, Droplets, Punishment, and another Droplets, and I still won that duel, which was really broken. So, like, I'm not exaggerating on how good this deck is. And when you guys see me playing, I was still learning how to play this deck better when I was doing all that. So that just goes to show how strong the deck is. So we are playing Barbar for time. Pretty much any hand I feel like can like win in time, because all you have to do is just set up Cherubini and dump Barbar for cost. No matter what hand trap in the world they have, unless it's literally Dimension Shifter. Like, unless it's Dimension Shifter, you will win in time with this deck, even though it's 60. And there is a crazy combo you could do with any 2 level 3 monsters. It doesn't have to be PKs or BAs. Just summon Cherubini is like a combo that sets up double Fogblade plus Dragoon. So this card is like Isolde of this deck, if it makes sense. And the algorithm you apply to 2 warriors on the field, and the potency that it yields in the interns and the residual outcome, just having so many follow-ups, is the similarity between Cherubini and 2 level 3s. Barbars for time, 2 Sirs, this is broken. Sir and Graph at 2 is just crazy. As you guys see, I'm not just doing deck profiles. Like always, whenever I do my deck profiles, I teach you how to play the deck. I don't just say, I play 3 of this, I play 3 of this, I play 3 of this. Bye, deck profiles over. I like to teach people how to play my deck as I'm profiling it. So, you know, say in your seats and then strap in, because, you know, you're going to learn from this video. So as you see, 2 Sirs, 2 Graphs, 2 Farflas. The second one comes up a lot. I used to play 3. But sometimes Alic is better than Farfla. These will always bait negates. The reason being is because you literally just target the card that has a negation on it. You literally just target the Savage, you know, you target the Odd Eyes Vortex, whatever monster it is, you know, like there's different negations with different standpoints, different cards like Appaloosa that might have multiple negates, but nonetheless, these do bait negates, so I like these. I do play Calcap because I respect back row decks. I know a lot of people say bad stuff about back row decks, like, oh, it's trash, it's not going to beat you, set by pass, you don't lose, but that's not actually true. There's a lot of decks that actually will break your board with just traps, and it's really crazy how it happens. So I respect back row decks. That's why I play Calcap in my deck, because this has synergy with Cherubini. So Cherubini always forces an interrupt for cost. That's why this deck is so broken, honestly, because inherently starting your combo, you bait negates with Cherubini, and then summoning Breaksword to its zone to pop a card, even if they negate it. Unless they negate it and banish it, Breaksword stays, and you just make the Rusty with the Cherubini and the Breaksword that bait 2 negates, because Cherubini baits a negate for cost, which is broken, and then Breaksword's going to bait another negate by popping, and then you just make Rusty. So like, this is why playing these cards is really relevant. This also works with Beatrice, and Livid just comes up. Sometimes you have non-BAs and you just need to get them out of your hand. And then I played triple Skarn for the BA lineup. So I play pretty high count, but I like it because opening 2 BAs like already start your combo off really strong, especially if you have Tour Guide, so you can make Cherubini and normal summon her point to Cherubini's zone. So if they have like Gamma or Ogre or anything, you play around it. If they have Asher Imperm, you play through it, not around it, you play through it. Because then you just use Cherubini's effect for cost. You don't want to do Cherubini until you control a card so that you can play around Ogre and Gamma. I play around like almost anything I can think of when playing this deck. So you guys will sometimes see in the replays where I'm making plays and you might question it, but it's because I'm playing around a card. Whether my opponent has it or not, I just play around stuff. And it's the smart thing to do. So you see the BA lineup. Tour Guide being angry is crazy. This card is full combo. If you guys are already glancing at my extra deck, you can see that full combo means nobody's playing Yu-Gi-Oh except me, and I have no sympathy for anybody that would complain. about that because, to be honestly, my opponent, an Adamantipator player, or my opponent, a Dragon Link player, wouldn't give me that common decency. So, you know, this is what we're doing. We're locking people off the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! This list is different from also Sam's and Yassine's and Lithium's because I don't set up redundant boards, and I'm not putting anybody down, but redundant boards to me is when you have like Monster Negate, Appaloosa, Monster Negates. I like to have diversity in my interrupts, and I don't want my boards to lose to it evenly or lightning storm. So as you guys see, I took the Kali Yuga route for my build because I already can set up Monster Negates easily with Fog Blades and my counter trap, and also I can summon F-Zero turn 1 and full combo with an F-Zero. You'll see that in the replay, while I'll still set up Kali Yuga with F-Zero with the counter trap, so like that way I can bait pretty much a Monster Negate on the way. It also plays around paper drops on the target, and I think that's better because it stops back row decks because Kali Yuga is a heavy storm, and it turns off like even Mystic Mind decks. So I think my win condition is just stronger. For the PK lineup, we play Gloves, triple Cloak, triple Tier Scale. This card is just ridiculously powerful. This card is so busted. I do so many things with this card, like it's crazy. Even when your opponent's styling on you, they're coming off and you're trying to break their board, but they're setting up negates. You can literally Fog Blade, target Break Sword, summon it Rusty Zone, and go Chainlink 1 Rusty, Chainlink 2 Tier Scale, and now your opponent can't negate that. So they literally, like, their monster negate can't even negate Rusty because it's a monster negate and it gets popped. It's really crazy. There's so many interactions where Tier Scale comes up, it's like crazy. You trigger it on your opponent's turn too. Even if it's just to survive and no DK for the next turn, this card's broken. This card helps you to play through Ash because sometimes you'll banish a PK for cost, your opponent will Ash it, and then you'll summon him and you'll either dump the card that it, because some of these work respectively in a similar way. You'll either dump the card that you were gonna need, or if you were like trying to get access to, for example, the Reka Magic Launch or Brigadine, even though Ancient Cloak can search that, you can then just use Scale to dump Boots and search the card anyway to Ash. So like, even without Cherubini and Rusty and all that, the Phantom Knights themselves in the main deck play around negates and hand traps. Just watch the replays when we get there. And then 3 Boots. Boots is insane because it's an inherent summon, it doesn't activate. And that's super relevant because on this deck, once you stick 2 level 3s on the field, you just start winning. It's not inevitable, like this will be stopped, but you start winning hardcore because it gets really out of control. Just resolving Cherubini before you even do anything relevant, you resolve Cherubini for cost, which is just the most broken thing ever. Starting your combos off, you get a PK in your grave for cost, and then you could just summon Break Sword and get a free pop, and then go to Rusty. And then if Rusty gets hand trapped, then you use your PKs. If those get ashed, then you go to Verde. Your opponent has to have like 4 hand traps to stop this deck with a good hand. Besides the PK lineup, as you guys can see, I'll talk about the hand traps really quick before I talk about my level 3 extenders, because it's very similar to Warrior, where you're just sticking Warriors on the field. I play Ash, Mourner, and Ogre because they're level 3s. This is relevant for synergy. There's a replay you guys will see where I full comboed with the Ghost Mourner plus a Psychic Willader. No, I'm sorry, it wasn't full combo. It was just double Fog Blade plus Dragoon, Verde, and Cherubini. I'm pretty sure. No, I think it was Rusty. No. Maybe I'm tripping. Maybe it was either Cherubini or Rusty plus Verde, Dragoon, double Fog Blade with literally a hand trap and a Willader, you guys. This is why I play level 3 hand traps. I know Gamma's better and Imperm can be better, and also Nibiru can be stronger. I can't play Nibiru in this deck because it just cripples BAs, and that really hurts a lot. Like, you guys might not think it doesn't hurt, but it hurts a lot. So unfortunately, when you play PK Fire, Nibiru is not a hand trap that's an option because it cuts your engine in half practically. Because as you guys see, it's PK Fire. I play BAs and Phantom Knights. I don't respect the artwork, but I do think this deck's powerful. And then for my level 3 extenders, so these are extremely relevant because when you open just like a Cloak by itself, or a Tier Scale is better by itself because you just discard a card and then get Cloak, use Cloak to search Boots, and you can combo off just with Tier Scale and any of the other 4 cards in your hand. So he's like a self-contained 1-card combo. It's basically like Scorpio plus a discard. But when you open like Cloak, or when you open like Boots, or even Tour Guide, you can use these. And the thing with Tour Guide, unless it gets Gamma, you'll play through Imperm or Ash or Valor if you open Willader and Kagemusha Knight. I'm not sure if you can chain block with Kagemusha Knight. There's different rulings, I believe, in the OCG and the TCG. I'm not sure, but I think so, but I just want to say you can't, because when I was dueling on Edo Pro, it was not letting me chain block with Tour Guide. So I'll say you can't, but you won't play through Gamma, but you will play through Imperm, Ash, and Valor opening Tour Guide plus one of these level 3 extenders, and then you'll make Cherubini, and you can just keep comboing. Another way to make Tour Guide a safer play is to make Cherubini first with like BAs, and then normal summon her point into Cherubini's zone. So if they have Gamma, they'll Gamma it. Because normally, if they have Gamma and that's their only hand trap, they kind of will Gamma Tour Guide. It's very preemptive that they'll do it. Because you haven't revealed what exactly you're playing. All they see is Burning Abyss. So they'll Gamma that. It will be destroyed because it's pointed to Cherubini's zone. So you'll play through Gamma as well. So not only can you just push through hand traps and make them irrelevant, but you can set your board up in a way where you nullify the hand traps, if that makes sense. So you play 4 Kagemushas because you play Rhoda, and you play 4 Willaders because you play E-Telly. So this gives me 1, 2, 5, 8 extenders, in addition to your deck already having archetype specific extenders like BAs, and then having cards like Boots and Tier Scales, and also Grease. So you have a lot of extenders which you push really hard going through the gate. So sometimes like you don't always draw your side deck cards and you still break through a lot of back rows just because the deck's so powerful. I'm not even exaggerating. I play 3 Allures. It's a 60 card deck, so thinning is relevant for drawing side deck cards. And this card has sometimes fixed my hands to be stronger than when they were. Fusion, obviously, and then Rhoda is just for any PK, or if I need Kagemusha for an extender. Foolish is also another extender. So Rhoda, Foolish, and E-Telly are 3 1-up spells that help you to extend through hand traps and negations. E-Telly can also just stick Ogre for like an actual interrupt, and that's really strong against dinosaurs because you could chain Ogre to Conductor and kill it, and you can push through a Conductor. So you guys will see too, playing against dinos, I broke a Conductor. What was it, like Conductor, Doka, Pankratops? Yeah, it was. So I pushed through double Monster Negate, Pankratops, and Conductor. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to OTK, but my board was like rusty, F face down, Break Sword, and I had like Leviair. Like I just pushed through it like that, and that's a really strong Dino board. It's one of the best Dino boards you can think of, and it was almost like it was nothing. So like yeah, this deck's really crazy. And honestly, you gotta be careful with your cards when you play them. So I play Magic Launch. I don't play the Requiem cards. Not that the Arc like XYZ dragons are not good. They are good, but they are still for me. I have extra deck cards that can already do to a similar extent. Like for example, Rebellion or Requiem is just a monster negator that extends. I do like this better as a monster negator, and I like the counter trap better. And I already can deal with monsters effectively with Kali Yuga as well. The other thing too is the one that makes all of your opponent's monsters 0 and gains the attack. Like you have to kind of set that up, and that requires extra deck space that I didn't want to waste. I wanted to play utility cards that were good in more than one situation. That's why I like the Verde and the Dragoon, and I like my prime choices because I was playing Evil Swarm, Nightmare, and Sasada King before, you know, but like I said, I made some choices for the better. So this is the rank up of choice. This also is extremely relevant because when you make Break Sword, even though I play 1 Break Sword, and you special summon him back from the grave off of Fog Blade or like one of your PK traps, you can use the graveyard effect of Magic Launch to attach one of your PKs from hand to Break Sword and use Break Sword's effect again. That's really, really good. So like that is also extremely relevant because you can target any dark XYZ monster you control. So this card also interacts with cards like Redoer when he has no materials. You can literally just attach a PK to him so that he turns his effect back on, which is also really, really good, honestly. And it synergizes to set up with the counter trap because when you use it, you detach, and basically if you detach a Phantom Knight's card, the monster will gain a boost. So like this card is not just a rank up, it also allows you to extend your combos and also reuse effects that you normally wouldn't be able to reuse. It works with other Dark XYZs too, don't get me wrong. And I play Double or Nothing because I'm using Utopia Double to go into Kaiser. This card facilitates a big combo. And it's also an Alta Dragoon because you summon him at 5,000 and it beats over a 4,000 Dragoon. And another way to out Dragoon, which is really funny, is sticking Utopic Future Dragon on the field and just start activating must negates. And if your opponent doesn't negate anything, you're just going to attack over Dragoon with Kaiser. But if they do negate something with Dragoon, you take it forever with Future Dragon and you take their Dragoon from them, which is so busted. This card is incredibly strong. Future Dragon is one of the best cards in the game, no cap. So we play Phantom Knight's Wing. this is a way to play around Pankratops. That's why I'm playing it, because Pankratops, even though it's a one-of, people still play it and they do draw it, which, believe it or not, it happens. It happened against Dinos. They will target Big Eye when you activate their magic launch. That's how they used to play around the Azathoth back in the day when Pankratops is at 3. So they'll target Big Eye when you try to rank him up in the Yuga. And you'll chain Wing. I know you could chain Sword, but the reason why I like Wing better than Sword is because this also, it plays around Cosmic Cyclone. So this plays around Cyclone, and it also plays around Pankratops. But honestly, truth be told, if they had the Cyclone, they'd probably try to snipe the rank up launch, but it will be probably a 33% chance because you'll normally have 2 other back rows. So they have to go blind into it. This is why the magic launch, it's not smart. Another piece of advice I'll give you, it's not smart to set it directly off Rusty because your opponent knows where it is, so they can cyclone it. A better idea is to search this off of Boots. So you want to set Shade off of Rusty, search this off of Boots, and then set your Fog Blade and your Counter Trap, which I do search this normally because Yuga is a dark and you could detach for graveyard monster effects and monster effects in hand because Yuga only stops the field. So I'm pretty much ready for anything, which is really, really cool that you can do that. So when Yuga hits the field, you're going to be protected. So that's why I was explaining this. So as you guys can see, the profile would be over really fast if I wasn't giving you insight, but I'm teaching you guys how to play this deck and how to play around stuff that is relevant. So like I said, this plays around Pankratops and Cyclone. If you flip Sword to target Big Eye and protect him, your opponent, if they have Cyclone, they will chain Cyclone, banish this, and now Pankratops will pop Big Eye, and you no longer have Yuga, which means all your opponent's normally going to have to play through is 1 or 2 more interruptions, and if you have a hand trap, maybe a 3rd, but that's easier to push through than a Yuga is, because this card's really powerful. It can't be stopped. Once it's summoned, it's like Azathoth. After this card's XYZ summon, your opponent can't do really anything. It's really hard to stop it. So Wing, I play Shade for the combo. This also, you can summon Redoer with the trap. That outs Dragoon as well because he doesn't target. So you have a lot of outs for Dragoon or anything that can't be targeted really. So this deck doesn't have a problem with a lot of stuff. Even for Lancia, what's really cool is with Lancia, you can still set Fogblade with Rusty and you can summon Beatrice. And you'll basically have Fogblade, Beatrice, and hand traps through Lancia. So I was really prepared for any and everything that my opponent would throw at me. Sometimes you get really nice and you can put Redoer up with the trap because Rusty can set it, and then you'll basically have Redoer with the trap plus Beatrice, and you'll have hand traps. So playing through Lancia is even possible with this deck. So yeah, triple Fogblade. Not only is this card really powerful, it also helps me a lot because sometimes I target my own monster, especially against Dinos. I'm gonna say that right now. Against Dinos, I will flip my Fogblade on my only monster or whatever so that Conductor can't attack it. And then it's pretty easy to get rid of my own Fogblade, truth be told. Something else that comes up a lot, well, not a lot, but it does come up sometimes where I'm using Fogblade and Sword. There was a play that I was thinking of because I had Rusty and Break, Sword, and Grave. So I wanted to use Sword to summon Rusty and then use Fogblade to summon Break. And then Chainlink 1 Rusty, Chainlink 2 Tier Scales to pop a card. Even when you have no cards on field, you can break your opponent's board and establish a Tier Scale. So no matter what you top deck, you'll use Tier Scale to dump a PK and then get him back in grave that same turn, banish the PK, and summon him again. So summoning him on your opponent's turn, you can make plays with no hand in this deck. So I'm just pointing out how really good this deck is. And I do play the counter trap. I noticed other people's builds didn't play this either. People didn't play 60, and a lot of people that I noticed were not playing the extra deck cards I'm playing. Not that I'm a genius or anything, because this is not new. I didn't think of this. This is not my idea. Just the concept of the deck and the list and the cards I play is my idea and my insight on how I play it and how good it is. So extra deck is Dragoon and Verde. This is my plan C, sometimes plan D. You know, you just always want to keep this handy because, like I said, you do have several. They're kind of must negates, and playing through Nibiru also happens because once Bardish hits the field, you have already summoned 5 times because just Cherubini's the 3rd summon. You need an extender for the 4th summon. The 5th summon's Rusty. And the reason why people will want a Nibiru Rusty is because if they wait for you to use his effect, they're going to Nibiru you and you're going to have a Fog Blade plus a Boots that gets a 2nd Fog Blade. So now their Nibiru is still going to give you 2 negates. So people will Nibiru you with once Rusty hits the field, which kind of is, you know, true because they're scared of Fog Blades because this card, you have to respect Fog Blade. It's really broken. It really is. It can be used offensively and defensively, so it's better than Phoenix Chain in that regard. So like once your opponent Navirs you, it's pretty easy to just extend. You guys will see me in replays. I got Navir, then I flip Leviair, and just get a banished card, go into Verde, and then summon Dragoon. And I'll still have Fogblade, which is crazy. So I do play Kaiser. This card's really strong. So what I do with Kaiser is I summon Big Eye and I summon Future. So that way on my next turn, I can summon F-Zero Utopic Future on top of Utopic Future, the Utopic Future Dragon, because this gets summoned off of Kaiser. And as long as my opponent doesn't kill it, I can just stack this for a free monster negate, so that if I have to clear a board, because sometimes your opponent will just wall up with monsters, because you can still activate monster effects from hand and graveyard to special summon. That's why I was saying I like the counter trap, because it negates monsters that aren't on the like hand or grave. Because like I said, Kali Yuga only stops field cards, so your opponent might wall up, and then that's where like cards like this and this can help like a lot, especially if they just stick a monster negator somehow, some way. Like they could still XYZ, it'll be negated for that turn, but once your turn comes, it's live. Just summoning Utopic Future to start your turn off is really strong, because now anything you do to try to combo, you have a counter for it. And if you didn't flip the Claw, which you normally don't always do it, because sometimes people just can't do anything, you'll have Claw and Future to play through any two hand traps you can think of. Imperm just doesn't do really anything to this deck. It doesn't stop like the turn, it just stops one thing, and you have like 5 different plays. So we have Kali Yuga, this card's busted. When you play against Mystic Mind, they can't beat it. It's so hilarious. They can't beat this card. They just can't. They can't do anything about this card. You play against Ultra Guys to any back row deck, they can't beat it. Like it's really hard. Like you have to have a very specific card, and you have to know what your opponent's doing. If people don't understand this combo, they won't know what to hit. They won't know what to do. Like the only thing that you can really do is either like Pancratops Big Eye or like Kaiju the Big Eye. Other than that, once Kali Yuga hits the field, it's game over pretty much. So then we have Beatrice. I don't play a target for her, but just because people will see me playing BA, they will go out of their way to try to get rid of this by not destroying it, playing around a Pilgrim that I don't have. So I kind of think it's funny just to have Beatrice, and she's an interrupt that you can put up through a Lancia, and that's really important for me because Lancia does stop the Phantom Knights. So as you guys see, your boy 3 stacks, I'm ready for a lot of stuff. We have Redoer. This card again is an Ultra Dragoon. It's a really good card to grind with, and it also does trigger Rusty Bardiche, which is extremely relevant because I don't have that many Dark XYZ monsters anymore. I pretty much have Kali, Big Eye, I have Redoer, and then I have Rusty. But good thing that Rusty is a PK, so you can summon it multiple times to Rusty. Something else I was thinking about with Rusty was Phantom Knight's the Claw trap, so I can put him back in my extra deck from the banish zone, because once you summon him off a trap, he gets banished. So I was kind of thinking about playing the Claw to recycle him and summon him again, because he is at 1, so it would technically give you 2 Rusties, but it never really comes up like that. Once you resolve him once or twice, you don't really need him like that anymore, just for pops. And because he's so powerful, people are scared of letting him resolve. So like I said, he's what you call like a must negate for a lot of people. I explained double. It's funny that you summon this guy at 5,000. It's crazy actually. Breaksword is insane. It baits like a negate or a back row. And also this is another way that you can play through your opponent's negates. Use Breaksword, target himself in a card. They're like, I negate it. And then effect from grave, summon 2, link in a Verde Anaconda, which is really busted. Or if you have the trap, then you'll summon 2 plus summon, activate the trap. Then you'll use Redoer, detach effect for the trap to bounce. If they negate that, any one other extender goes into Verde and Dragoon, and you'll normally bait 3 or 4 negates on the way. So yeah, this deck is crazy. Leviair is really strong. There's a lot of cards you wish you could play multiples of, but because I wanted a wide variety of utility, I didn't want to play like double Dante, double Leviair, double Breaksword, you know what I mean? Like multiples of anything, because every one of these, because my extra deck's pretty much all 1-ofs as you can see, and every single one of these cards comes up. Some more than the others, but they all come up. That's why I wouldn't cut one for a second copy of anything, if that makes sense. And Dante is really good, honestly. Like, this card is really crazy, and he RNGs into like some good stuff. And his effect is extremely relevant as well. His graveyard effect is the best one. Recurring Seer. You guys have no idea how like follow-up Cherubinis can be so broken. Just Recurring Seer starts your turn. Just put Seer on the field, let him die. If you control non-BA, bring out Cherubini from grave, and then pay cost, dump a PK, and you could just start playing again. So your opponent will have to break your board and OTK you. Otherwise, when they break your board, your engine will not be turned off because I normally always end the Yuga combo with a setup graveyard with like Cherubini up on the field sometimes. It will be there, and I'll have Fog Blades, and I'll have effects engraved, and then Fog Blade turns into a follow-up once you use it to negate, so it's a negate and follow-up, and then Cherubini is just going to start your turn off really strong. So you can start your turn off with Cherubini and Rusty, even if they die, because you can bring both of these back from grave. This off of the Phenonite traps, and this off of a Sir that's recurable off Dante. So you kind of have like an almost infinite loop when you think about that, just of getting these. And then Verde's just busted. So all these links are must negates. That's what I love about the 3 links I play. I don't play Access Code or Borosword, as you guys can see. Access Code just doesn't get enough. You can't get it big enough because I don't play Unicorn. And also, Borosword is harder to make than Verde. And I look at Dragoon as not only my plan B, but also it's a pseudo Borosword, because normally when you make this playing through interrupts, it's better to make this than Borosword, because you're gonna pop 2 monsters, and then you're gonna be able to attack with the rest of your monsters, and that's really relevant. Sometimes you even just serve in Utopic Future to attack into your opponent's Dragoon and take their Dragoon, so then you attack with your Dragoon and their Dragoon, which is really busted. And you'll just normally, that means you're attacking for 4,000 normally a piece, so that's 8,000 exactly. And if not, it'll be 7,000 plus any other monster with 1,000 or more attack that's game. So there's like a lot of ways to do it, you guys, without Sword or Access Code. And then I play Gamma in the side deck. I play Pankratops, Kaijus, Storm, Duster, and Evenly. The thing with Evenly, Storm, Gamma, Pankra, and Gamma Seals is they all can be sided against combo, but also at the same time, Pankratops, Lightning Storm, Evenly can still be sided against back row. So the cards I side against back row can also be sided against combo. So when you look at it, outside of Duster, 14 cards out of my 15 card extra deck can be used against combo. This is even good against Dragon Link. Even if they put their monsters in defense and play around it, you can activate this to bait a negate by basically declaring spells and traps to kill the Buster Lock. So Lightning Storm is still relevant. So is Evenly. And honestly, like, just opening up any one of these with a strong hand, you're gonna be able to get game normally. So as you guys can see, that is the profile. Hopefully you guys learned a lot from it. I am gonna go into replays in the same video, but just go ahead and do a recap on it. As you guys can see, when I was explaining the list, all these cards come up. They're extremely relevant. These make Beatrice into an interruption by herself. And like I was talking about, like all these interactions that come up, it's really important to just keep all that in mind. Something else that does come up is Ragged Gloves' XYZ effect. It does actually come up. You can summon it as a level 4 and make a 3400 Redoer, or you can make a 3000 Break Sword. And this card is also extremely important whenever you start your combo off. Sometimes it's better to dump this for cost off Cherubini versus any other PK, because sometimes you don't know which hand trap your opponent has. So this is better to dump, because let's say you dump Tear Scales and then you go into Rusty and your opponent hand traps it. Now Tear Scales can't activate because you don't have PKs in grave. If you dump Cloak and your opponent Gammas your Rusty, you can use this to search, but the card you search won't be able to do anything because you won't have a PK, and that's really important for Tear Scales. For Greaves and also for Boots. The same thing with dumping Boots. Either dump Boots or Gloves. I like to just dump Gloves instead, because like if any hand trap happens that makes me change my mind or my line of play, Gloves can get access to any of these. So that's why sometimes it's better to just start by dumping Gloves. That's why I put a lot of respect on Gloves. When you're playing through hand traps, even if your opponent doesn't have any and you haven't seen any yet, like I said, I play as if my opponent does have them. So I will dump Gloves sometimes just to make sure, just in case anything happens to the rest of my board. Then at worst case scenario, I'll just use this to dump a PK trap, special something from grave, and then go into Verde Anaconda and summon Dragoon. So hopefully you guys understand why I put that respect on Gloves and why I still have to say that when I combo off. I do use it that way. And if you guys are wondering why I play Gamma Seals, it's mainly for the Buster Lock. Because against Dragon Link, it's pretty easy to play through negates with this board, with this deck. And that's no exaggeration. It is pretty easy. Like, as long as you honestly draw a way to actually play. Like, if you draw, like, triple Ghost Mortar, which did happen to me against Zodiacs, I drew triple Ghost Mortar, you're not going to really do much. But if you draw a good hand in this deck, a good hand is sometimes better than a great hand with another deck. Like, if you Dragma, or, like, Eldritch, or, like, I don't know, what's another good one? Like, Infernoble Knights. When they draw a good hand, like, or a great hand, it still sometimes won't be able to beat a good hand with PK Fire. And that's facts. Especially because, like, everything that you summon, you're using cards that have effects engraved. So the monsters that you summon will bait negates, and then you'll follow up with PKs. And that's the beauty of this deck. You'll summon Cherubini, you'll summon Rusty, you'll summon Verde, and all those cards can get negated. And at the end of the day, worst case scenario, and I'm talking about the absolute worst, bottom of the barrel, you will search Fog Blades. And you will use Fog Blades to protect yourself, and then use them on the start of your turn to summon out Rusty and start and try it all over again, which is really crazy. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into replays. First, I'm going to show you guys some examples of PK Fire playing through like some serious heat. I think some of them I actually put in the description so I would know where to go. That's Orcust. PK Fire versus Pendulum. Okay. Versus Striker. A Patient Scoop. And look at all these duels I got with PK Fire. I actually got a lot. So, wow, look at that list. It's still going. It's still going. Alright, right there. So, Tour Guide gets you there. I guess I'll start first just by showing you guys that Tour Guide gets you there. So, with this hand, I'm pretty sure all I did was just use Tour Guide just to emphasize that it's full combo by itself. I really hope that I used only Tour Guide, because Tour Guide is the full combo by itself. So as you guys see, I dumped Cloak for cost. Normally, if you're scared of hand traps, you'll dump Glove. And then I used Rusty. I dumped Greaves to set Brigandine. And then I'm going to banish Cloak, search for Greaves. My bad, I probably said Greaves by accident. And then I summoned Tear Scale. Then I'm going to overlay into Double. I'm going to detach. I'm going to search Double or Nothing. Then I use the Double or Nothing for Tear Scale. That's a free discard. Oh no, I discarded Scarm since I had it in hand for an end phase effect. But normally you discard Double or Nothing. Then I use Kaiser, and as you see, that's full combo. Did I use any other card in my hand? No. All I did was really just discard Scarm so I could get another Tour Guide. But to be honest, if you don't have a good discard, you just discard the Double or Nothing because it's a free search off of your Utopia Double. That's how you make Tear Scale like pretty free. And as you guys can see, not only do I have a way to stick what's that card? Dang, I'm trying to think of Kali Yuga on the field. But also, if Rusty and Cherubini and Tear Scale don't get answered, all three of these, if these don't get answered, and if Utopic Future doesn't get answered, this turns into a monster negate, this turns into more PK cards, this turns into anything you want in your deck pretty much, this turns into almost anything in your deck. So that's what I mean by like, not only does your opponent have to play through one of the strongest locks in the game, but they have to kill every card on your board. This is a 5k beat stick that can summon number monsters from your extra deck. And this can't be destroyed by battle or card effects as long as you control them until Kali Yuga negates it. This, even if your opponent destroys this by battle, it will take the monster that they battled until the end of the battle. So it activates in grave too once it leaves the field. So like this, the board you set up off Tour Guide is crazy because this, you have 3-4 follow-ups. So it's a 1-card combo that gets you 4 follow-ups. And then let's look at the grave. We also have Stained Greaves. Oh my goodness, that's just crazy. And you have Tear Scale in rotation. Regardless of what you draw, this is going to get you something, this is going to get you something, this is going to get you something. This is going to get you a negate so that you can keep playing. But Kali Yuga is just going to say no. So, in continuing, I'm just going to show you guys, summon Kali Yuga. Magic launch, going to Kali, game over. So, Tour Guide, if you open Tour Guide in this deck and your opponent has no hand trap, they should just pick up their cards and just go straight to game 2. It's not like Dragon Link where they're like, I open safer. You still have a chance. Against Dragon Link, you will have a chance. Because the Buster Lock is not good against every deck. And even dinosaurs can break that deck. I have to give dinos props. They can break that board. They don't need their extra deck to do it. So it's not game over for the best combo deck of the format. For Infernoble Knights, it's not impossible. It's really not. Hand Loop for 1 and a couple negates. That's kind of silly for some of the big dogs. Like, I'm not going to lie. Like, Infernoble Knights are good. But I think sometimes, like those sometimes I look at those boards as like little baby boards. I can show you guys replays of me playing Shadalls breaking those boards. And they're just sticking up like what? Charles, Pop, Borlo Savage negate, Arclight negate, okay? Like you have to have Gearfried, Arclight, Charles, and Borlo Savage for me to even respect it to be like, alright, this is a board. So let's go into... Oh, Dragma Eldritch. Game through 3 interrupts? Oh yeah, so this one was kind of weird. I was questioning my opponent's plays. So he could have set up a 4th interruption for me, but he didn't. So all he did was set up 3 interrupts, and I played through that. I felt, honestly, if he put the 4th one, I would have pretty much had to stop my turn. He wasn't going to be able to OTK me. That's no cap, because I'm pretty sure I had a way to get access to Fog Blades and stuff. And my graveyard floating and grinding is really real. So like with this deck, even if you can't break the board, but you play through all the negates, you can still set up a wall. Or if your opponents use that much resources, you can just enter the grind game with them and you can outpace them. Like, I've even outgrinded Eldritch, no lie. So as you guys see, his hand is insane though. So he just like resolved extravagance. He has Nadir now. He has Golden Lord, Conquistador, Imperm, and Scarlet. So he opened the Scarlet and the Conquistador. He has Lord in hand. He has Imperm and Ash. So this is already 2 interrupts. Something that he did that was weird, that didn't make sense to me, is he didn't set his Imperm. So as you guys see, he's going to set Punishment, Sanguine, Conquistador. He's going to have Ash in hand. Then he's going to get Fleur-de-Lis. So what he has to use against me is pretty much Ash, Conquistador, Punishment, hey baby, and then Fleur-de-Lis. I'm pretty sure that this deck can play through Punishment, Conquistador, and Fleur-de-Lis, but the Ash and the Imperm probably just seals the deal. So his opening was so insane that I couldn't break through that, but he didn't set his Imperm. He just didn't set it. I don't know what he was thinking. I don't know, you guys. I'm so serious. I just don't understand why he didn't do that. Because he was going to stop my turn with all those. That's what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 interrupts. 5, you guys. And those are all relevant. Now, don't get me wrong. If I had, like, for example, 2 BAs plus a Ancient Cloak and a Boots, it was going to be way different. But this was just a straight up BA hand. But it's going to be so different if I had a Boots and a Greaves. I mean, a Boots and a Tier Scale. Or a Boots plus a Ancient Cloak with 2 BAs. That plays through way, like, oh my goodness, it's crazy. So, I'm going to Allure. I'm going to trigger Draft. I'm going to trigger Scarm. So, that's 2 BAs. And 2 BAs plus 2 PKs. One of them being Boots is better than Tour Guide. No cap. Because Tour Guide only can summon a BA. She still doesn't get you to your PK. So, he's going to Fleur-de-Lis the Tour Guide. I'm going to go Cloak to search Boots. Oh, no, I think I searched Greaves, as a matter of fact. He's going to get Golden Lord onto the field. I'm going to summon Greaves. He's going to Conquistador to kill the Rusty. So, pause. Something else I can do since I didn't activate Rusty because he killed it first is I can get... How do I get Tier Scale? Let me view. Oh, I don't have access to Tier Scale. Dang, I was going to say Tier Scale, dump Fogblade, and Fogblade bring back Rusty and use this effect. But I didn't have the choice. So now I'm going to summon Break Sword. And then here comes the Punishment. He's going to pop. And I'm going to bring the 2 back. So here's what Imperm was going to seal it. Like, Imperm would have sealed the deal for my turn. I still would have got Boots to get a Fogblade. So, worst case scenario, if I can just, like, literally Fogblade my own monster, force him to use Golden Lord, and then I can use Fogblade to summon a, like, Rusty from Graveyard, just to survive. Just to literally survive. But he's definitely going to stop my whole entire turn if he set that Imperm. So, like, I played through... Like, I showed this just to showcase you guys. Even though my opponent didn't use all his interrupts, which still doesn't make sense to me, I'm baffled. I did play through the Punishment. I played through the Conquistador, and I played through the Fleur-de-Lis. So as you guys see and understand why I ended up putting Verde in my deck. And first, testing the 45 card list, this was not in my deck. If I wasn't playing Verde, I would have lost to 3 interruptions. But now I play through 3, and I still end on Dragoon. But it's not just Dragoon. It's Dragoon plus... a Fogblade. See? Haha! So now if he had the 4th interruption, this is the beauty. It might not be much, but the fact that you get 4 interrupts and you'll pay 5. I'm sorry, I'm exaggerating. Because honestly, he would use Ash. If he imperms the Verde, he would use Ash. So it literally takes that much. So think of it this way. You give props to the Dragma Eldritch player for opening that good. But think about it. If he opened any less than that, he wouldn't have even stopped me. Even though, like, I played through the 3 and still got game. Think of it this way. People have to open this stuff like this consistently to hold this deck at bay. Just to hold it at bay. Not even to completely shut it down. You need 5 interruptions to stop my turn. He has to Imperm the Verde and Ash Blossom the Boots. Yes, you beat me. Fair enough, bro. You will beat me. But I have to say, you literally had to use 5 interrupts just to stop me. So you have to have that many outs. So I wanted to showcase this before I get into the actual replays, because this just emphasizes it. And yeah, he did end up losing, I'm pretty sure. Because he doesn't have a way to out Dragoon. Because I'm not going to negate Golden Lord. I'm just going to Fogblade him to save my Dragoon for his Ecclesia. Reason being is because I'm trying to play around Fleur-de-Lis. That's why I saved the Fogblade on the Eldritch, the Golden Lord. And I just popped it, I'm saying that's game. So now I'm gonna get. I think there's like 1 or 2 more. Then I'll get into like the actual duels. PK Fire versus Dragoon invoke through 3 interrupts. Nah, this one don't count because I had Lightning Storm. That's not fair. So oh, this one I wrote all my own notes. I misplayed, but still played through. It didn't show me how much. So let me see. This game, I must have misplayed and did something incorrect. And I put in the notes that I misplayed to remind myself that I messed up. But apparently, I still played through. Oh, this is the one. This is the one where I played through Imperm Droplets. And then he's going to draw into another Droplets. So he's going to go same. Oh, yes, that's what it was. It was Imperm Droplets Punishment. So you guys are gonna see my misplay, and my misplay, because if I didn't misplay, I was gonna keep going. That's what I'm telling you guys about this deck. But I really, I think it's called Decision Anxiety. As you guys see, I wrote it. I think I wrote it for gloves. I'm pretty sure. So Allure, I'm gonna second Allure, banish Graph because Calcap can play through back rows. Then I just get rid of Calcap. So normal, go into Cherubini. To be honest, in all fairness, knowing that my opponent had punishment, my first misplay was not setting a card. That's my first misplay, and that's facts. My first misplay is not setting a card to play around the punishment. That's the first misplay. So let's get that out the way. Because setting a card now makes sure that Cherubini doesn't get destroyed, and instead you send the card away. Don't get me wrong, they can still just on summon, but he didn't. So Imperm. So now I do. So I play around my misplay, but it's too little too late, to be honest. And I'm setting in an Imperm column, which is like not smart, but this column's under Imperm too, so it's like, what choice do I have? So now I'm gonna dump for cost, Graph, summon Seer. I'm gonna use Gloves to dump Tear Scale. Then I'm gonna use Boots to search Fogblade. Tear Scale, summon itself. That's the second misplay. So my second misplay. So I misplayed bad, but I still won. But I'm telling you, like, it would have been game this turn if I didn't misplay. So that's why I was really upset at myself. I think it was either too late or I was suffering from decision anxiety. Because the misplay number 1 was not setting a card for Cherubini. You just have to do that. It's just like really important. It's really relevant. Either set a card or summon something to its zone. Misplay number 2 was not using Sir. And also Cherubini to go into Rusty and then use Sir to bring Cherubini back from the graveyard, which puts Rusty in Cherubini. But instead, I got Tear Scale and automatically just got rid of my Sir. So that really sucks. Pause. So now I'm using Tear Scale. I discard Fogblade to get the Ancient Cloak. So now this is the third misplay, and I think this is the last one. So these are not like gigantic misplays. Like, I think the biggest one was probably the Cherubini one. That was like the big one that's like super easy to catch. The ones with Cherubini and like this one is not really that easy to catch, and some people will probably do this anyways. I'm guilty of it too. My other one was not in. I forgot that I summoned Boots. So what I was supposed to search was actually Greaves. He summons himself if you summon a Phantom Knights, because the moment I summon Rusty, I can summon him from hand. So that's the final misplay. But even still, he's gonna punishment Rusty. He dumps the Titanic because I have to, he has to get a follow-up. He has nothing going for himself. Then I use Fogblade to summon Rusty. Then he's gonna Imperm the Rusty. And so I have no choice but to pass. I ash this Titaniclad. So now he just has Droplets. So I played through Imperm Punishment. And now he has Droplets. So pause. So what he can do here, because I do use Rusty to target the Schism. What he can do here is he can chain Droplets and basically send the Schism and the second Droplets to target both of these to negate them. Even if this is negated, it cannot be used as link material like ever. So he can negate both of these. So what that does is that stops both the pop effects, because I'm getting ready to pop both back rows. But then, because this attack gets halved, I can go into battle phase and crash into the Saint, use his effect from Grave, summon the 2 PKs that he has as materials, and then go into Verde and Anaconda and summon the Dragoon. So like, through the Droplets, it doesn't matter. And this is what I was saying about the must negates. As you guys can see, as I was explaining the profile, Rusty and Breaksword do actually force negates, especially back roads. They don't, like, some people would be like, I want to hold my Droplet. I'm like that. I hold Droplet for a long time until I see like 3 or 4 more. I try to hit as many cards as I can with Droplet, but right here, he didn't have a choice. if that makes sense, because like he's getting ready to lose like one of his droplets. I think I targeted Schism, so he didn't have the droplets now, but I feel like if you're gonna droplets now, you might as well just send the Schism target and the second droplets, so that way you basically don't droplets Rusty just for Breaksword to pop the other droplets anyways, if that makes sense. So like that's what I would have done, but it's inevitable. Even though he has droplets, it just doesn't. So he opened all these really strong back rows, and it didn't stop anything. All it did was slow me down. Even with my misplays, which I'm very upset about my misplays. Don't get me wrong, I'm mad at myself for my misplays. Not gonna matter. So as you see, I ditched Fog Blade for tier to dump Cloak, and then I'm gonna summon Dragoon. Oh yeah, something else that I forgot to mention in my profile, you guys. I should have set this in the profile. Sometimes you can use Cloak to, yeah, you can use Boots to search a Fog Blade or a PK Trap, and you can activate an effect. Like, for example, you can use Verde to target a, or not Verde, that's a bad example, because, like, once Dragoon gets summoned, you, can't special anymore. But basically, when you have Dragoon and you're trying to interact to OTK, sometimes what I'll do is I'll activate an effect that is worth negating. Like, it's basically, like, just anything irrelevant. Like, for example, Dante milling for cost or something. And I'll use Dragoon to discard the Fog Blade to negate my own card, just so I can get Fog Blade engraved and use it to bring something back so I can get an OTK. That's something else I really forgot to point out that I should have pointed out with Dragoon is because the PK traps have relevant graveyard effects and because PKs can play from grave and so can BAs, you can use Dragoon even more skillful even if you have a Farfa in hand and you're just trying to kill your opponent, and let's say they have Utopic Future and Utopic Future has been used but you can't destroy it by battle, but they already used its effect. You can activate an effect, use Dragoon to negate your own effect, and then discard Farfa and use Farfa to banish one of their cards. That's just, there's so many examples. Basically the point is, because you play a graveyard deck, you can use Dragoon sometimes on your own cards, negate your own cards just to get something engraved for any kind of play. I really forgot to say that, but I wanted to point that out because I do think that way. I think that way with my Dragoon. You can do that with other cards too in other decks. So anyways, through droplets, imperm, and punishment, my opponent still lost. And this is not going to be game, but what I'm just going to end on this Dragoon for his top deck. He's going to top deck Alistair, and that's going to be negated, and that is game. So now what I can do here is go into the actual duels. You guys will still see me playing through a lot of stuff, but I'm just going to go into the actual duels. I just went those because I didn't want anybody to think I was exaggerating on how this deck plays through so much. I did 2-0 Adamanticators. I guess I can start with that. But to be honest, Adamanticators really are a shell of them former selves. And that game wasn't that great. Because game 1, it was one-sided. I just Yuga him. And then game 2, all he ended on was like a Fog Blade and a Warlord Savage. And that really wasn't... It was only 2 negates. And 2 negates kind of sucks against Phantom Knights. That's not an exaggeration. So let's see here. A really good game was against Zodiacs. That was a really good game. Dragma Necros, Dragma Invoke, Dragon Link. So I guess since Dragon Link is like a super meta relevant deck, I'll start with that. Swap. So he has an Ash. Like, to be honest, Ash is not enough. It's really not. I think if you want to stop literally everything that this deck can do, you need Lancia plus Nibiru and Gamma. Lancia to stop the PKs, Nibiru to stop the combo, and then Gamma for the Verde Anaconda, or Imperm. So you need like Lancia, Nibiru plus an Imperm, Veiler, or Gamma, but you also have to use the Gamma before the Nibiru. So that kind of does suck. So I guess it has to be Nibiru, Veiler, and Lancia. That's how you can stop like an entire turn. You need like that specific combination to stop the PKs, Nibiru for all the extenders, and then Verde. Veiler for Verde. So as you guys can see, he has full combo in his hand and one hand trap, but Ash doesn't really do that much to my deck. So I do have combo in my hand. I'm going to start with the Lure since I have pretty safe plays. He's going to Ash the Lure. I'm going to normal Tear Scale, Special Wilder, go into Cherubini. Replay, kind of a misplay. I should summon a BA to its zone, then activate this effect to play around Ogre and Gamma. And then I'm going to banish Cloak to trigger Scales, search out Greaves, use that to pitch Gloves because I wasn't sure of any other hand traps he has. Cloak and that, and I'm going to go into Rusty. So I went to Levier so I can get my follow-ups. I'm pretty heavy on follow-ups if you guys didn't know this about me. Summon level 4, go into double. Then I'm going to search double or nothing, go into Kaiser, use Kaiser's effect to summon Big Eye and F-Zero, and then I'm going to use both boots to search the rank up. So he pretty much loses. In-face Scarm, and then he scoops because I think he understands what's going to happen next. Game 2, unfortunately, he opened 2 really strong hand traps, but he didn't open a dragon. So his hand was like missing one thing to be insane. If he's going first and he has a dragon plus like just World Legacy Guard Dragon plus a dragon is like full combo. I'm pretty sure it's full combo in this deck without Boots Extra Launch and Obster Router. If this was just a low 4 dragon and this was a 3rd hand trap, his hand would be just like perfect. My hand, I have Tour Guide, which is amazing. I have a BA, Kagemusha, and Tear Scale. So when you're playing against a deck that you know plays hand traps, sometimes you don't normal Tour Guide because of the fear of Gamma, unless you open Kagemusha plus Foolish, E-Telly, Rhoda, or any of the 3 Psychic Willaders. So you have like, I think that's 5 more. So with this hand, if you play around Gamma, you want to summon Tear Scale and then special Kagemusha and just use Tour Guide another turn. Because like honestly, Tour Guide, as powerful as it is in a competitive scene, it's the last option. And I know that sounds crazy because it's so good by itself, but it's the last option because it's the most vulnerable play starter that you have to hand traps, if that makes sense. That's why I do play the Kagemusha, the Rhoda, the E-Telly, and the Realtor. Rhoda's for PK too, but it doesn't play through Gamma. It plays through Imperm. This plays through like Imperm, Ash, and Valor, but not Gamma. So like Tour Guide would be safe if I didn't think he had Gamma. So he's just gonna have to pass. Like, very unfortunate for Dragon Link. And he's playing 49 cards, which is kind of weird. So I did the safe play. I normal Tear Scale and summon Kagemusha. Then I'm going to summon Alec, then use Cherubini, pay cost. Dump Cloak. Then I'm going to use Cloak to get Grease, and then I'm going to trigger Tear. Use Tear, discard the double or nothing, so no combo this turn off of that play. And then I'm going to go into Levier to get my follow-up engrave. He's going to Ash Rusty, which is correct. You hold Ash for Rusty because that slows down a lot of plays. But I will say, so this is the funny thing, if I didn't use Boots already that turn, which I'm pretty sure, did I use Boots? Yeah, I think that I used Boots. I didn't have a choice. But if I didn't use Boots and my opponent Ash Rusty, you can still do the Kali Yuga combo as long as you have access to Boots, because this already summons Utopia Double, gets double or nothing, and the Boots would get the rank up, but I had to do that play. So he's going to Ash Rusty, which is correct. Then I'm going to summon Reeves. So then I'm just going to go into Redoer, go to Battle Phase. He doesn't Nibiru me here. I think what his mindset was he was just wondering if I was going to do anything else in main phase 2, like Verde Anaconda or anything like that. So he was holding his Nibiru, which I think is smart because you have to really think about it. Unless your opponent's going to OTK you, you don't Nibiru them. Because like they literally, especially the moment Redoer hits the field, like he just goes away. So that reason being is because you need to use Nibiru to survive. And if your opponent doesn't OTK you, you have to hold it to see if your opponent tries to make another strong play, and then Nibiru them so that you can simplify the game state and then get into your top deck mode. So what he did, even though he ate the damage, which was risky, it was still smart to hold the Nibiru to see if I would do anything else. But I attempted to end my main phase. That's when he Nibiru because I tried to end main phase. I'm gonna Redo on standby. He's gonna over it. Still didn't draw a dragon, which really does suck. Like, that is just crazy. He drew Ash, Gamma, Ash, Ogre, and Nibiru. So all he's used against me is hand traps. And now I spent Finger Top to go Tour Guide, and that's game, because Tour Guide is combo by herself. So it's a good thing I held the Tour Guide. So Dragon Link got 2-0'd. So now, against Dino, this says Dino again. I wonder. So where's the Dino game 2? Because I put again because it's the second time I played Dino. So let's just go to this one. This had 9 turns. That's freaking crazy. 9 turns? That's a good duel. So my hand is pretty weak. 2 hand traps, especially Gamma, because I don't have 2 different name BAs. I open both my Farfus and I have Tour Guide. So this hand is strong if my opponent has no hand traps, but in the terms of playing around hand traps, it's very, very, very weak. This loses to any one hand trap. If this BA was a different name BA, it would be a different story because you make Cherubini first, then normal Tour Guide, and then it gets Gamma. It doesn't get destroyed, then you combo through the Gamma. So if I had a different name BA, I comboed through Gamma for sure, but my hand didn't please me. So, but he is going first. So like this is gonna be really, really tough for me because I only have Ogre, and Ogre's not that great in the terms of stopping dinos from comboing off. It's only good against Conductor. That's why I normally hold my Ogre for against dinos, is I hold Ogre for Conductor just to kill it. And this Dino player is doing the barrier statue combo, which it actually is a build that topped and people were flocking and net decking it, and then people started playing Sam's build. I don't know. I just feel like Dino players just can't make up their mind. I don't think they play their own builds. I think that they just play other people's builds. But there are some people that have their own spikes. But I feel like because people stop playing this, or people see Sam's list and he doesn't play this, people are just gonna stop playing it. But I still think this is a crazy good card. Like, it's super strong. It like absolutely answers combo. It's almost like a Buster Lock if you really think of it. It just still loses a Dark Ruler. So another thing that's unfortunate about my hand is that I drew 2 Farfas. Foolish would normally be able to dump Farfa to banish the Conductor, and then dang, you know what? I still would have to have a monster that has over 1,000 attack to beat over the Bear Statue. So my hand's just not really working for me. So I'm gonna Foolish Aelic to target Pankratops. I'm gonna normal Farfa. He's gonna Conductor, and I'm gonna Ogre. And then I'm gonna set Fogblade and pass. He's gonna use Pankratops to pop my Fogblade. He's gonna normal Miscellaneous Source. And then he's gonna attack Farfa. Farfa can only banish Misk because these are protected from targeting. Misk comes back. That's good because he can't go into Tornado Dragon if he really wanted to turn his Dino engine back on. So I'm just gonna crash Farfa into the Barrier Statue and then banish Misk. Set Imperm and pass. Now he's summoning 2 from Misk and he's gonna normal Obi effect, and I'm gonna Imperm it. So now he can still make a rank 4 through the Imperm. So I'm still in a very bad situation. And checking my grave, all I have is Fogblade but no PK. But he does overlay in the Dweller, which actually, he doesn't know I have Tour Guide, so technically speaking, this is the correct play, because I am playing a Graveyard Effect based deck, and most players will go for Dweller, because it is like literally, it's like a win condition against PK Fire. It turns pretty much my entire deck off, for the most part. I can still resolve Rusty, I can resolve Verde, but I don't get any graveyard floating effects, which is like the best part for grinding. So he Dwellers me, and I'm just going to Tour Guide him. I'm going to summon out something irrelevant since his effect won't be able to activate. I'm going to Cherubini, dump Cloak for cost, summon Graft, Cherubini Zone, go into Rusty. Rusty's going to dump a Tier Scale so I can start grinding, set a Fogblade, beat over the Dino, the Overraptor, and then pass. Like, nothing else mattered except killing the Overraptor. He's going to top deck Lost World. He's going to banish 4. He summon Giant Rex, trigger Lost World. Then I'm going to chain. Since this is my only opportunity to target, I'm just going to chain. Honestly, to be honest, I could just use Fogblade to target the Giant Rex. But in all fairness, he can use any one of these monsters to attack the token. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to Fogblade my own Rusty to protect him, if that makes sense. Because he is going to have 1600 attack, so technically if my opponent could summon a monster that had more than 1600 attack, Rusty would go bye-bye. So I just wanted to protect him. I can clear my own Fogblade, which is fine. So I was just trying to survive for a turn. And then in phase, I'm going to use the Fogblade to summon Tier Scale. He's going to Dweller me yet again. And this time I'm going to normal Kagemusha, go into Dante, detach Tier, mill 3. I milled my rank up. I'm going to beat over some more and change Dante to defense. He's top decking Dig. But unfortunately, he's burned through a lot of his engine. He's burned through Conductor, Pankratops, 2 Overwrappers, 2 Miscellaneousaurs, 3 Miscellaneousaurs, and also there's an Overwraptor in his grave. So he has no more Misks, no more Obies. His babies are pretty much done. He had to top deck into Pillar Conductor just to do anything. So he has burned through. I pretty much just grinded him out. It's no wonder why this duel was 9 turns. So I had to beat him in the long run. I had to play really slow, but Dinos can't really win in a grind. They're pretty fast paced. That lost connection. Dino's a pretty fast paced deck, and it has a follow up for like 2 turns, and then after that it just runs out of steam. So that's why Conductor like really has to end the game fast, because Dinos can't really beat like Dragon Maids, Phantom Knights, or like Eldritch in the grind game, or even Salamangreats. They're just an aggressive deck. They have to end the game fast. This was another one against Dinos. I think I was able to play through all his negates, but something I did mess me up. I think I messed up. Oh yeah, my misplay this duel was I thought Rusty Bardish had 1800 attack and I was trying to crash him, but he had 1600 attack. I made a huge comeback. I had only 200 life points. I comboed through double Doka negates, Pankratops, and Conductor, which is crazy. And then I was able to set up a board through all those interrupts, but I was so stupid for thinking that Rusty had 1800 attack. I just couldn't read. So I was trying to attack into a monster that had 1800 attack, trying to crash. I lost the only 200 life points I had, so I lost this duel because I couldn't read. Apparently I need glasses. So he's gonna Baylor Cherubini. I'm gonna pay cost, dumping Tier Scale, and then I'm gonna normal cloak, go into Rusty. Rusty effect, he's gonna Ash Blossom my Rusty. I should have special graph first, and then like just made Rusty that way, and then I could still normal cloak. Then I'm just gonna combo through the action of Valor. So now I'm dumping that. I'm gonna get some Dante mills. Please don't mill anything good. Why does he always mill the 1-ups, man? Not always, but he does that. Then I'm gonna summon Beatrice. Trigger graph, summon Surge. Surge gonna special summon the Cherubini. And then I'm gonna set Fogblade. I'm gonna use the gloves to dump Cloak for follow-ups. And I have Fogblade and Beatrice. So now he's gonna terraform me. Surely he's gonna be able to do something. Oh, he Mystic Mines me. So I dumped Skarm like a ding-dong, thinking I was going to get Skarm in phase effect. I sometimes forget that Mystic Mine affects everything. It's just a brain fart. So I shouldn't have did anything when he activated Mystic Mine, just kept Beatrice and Dante everything under. He's just going to do a baby Dino combo, nothing big. He's just going to take care of threats. He's going to be over Rusty. Which, to be honest, if you're playing the waiting game with Mystic Mine, you shouldn't commit any monsters at all. Because this means Nightmare Phoenix. Literally, if I play Nightmare Phoenix, he loses. Like, hardcore. He loses, like, very badly. Because I just, basically, what I do, I have graveyard effects to search. So all I literally do is go into Nightmare Phoenix, discard my tour guide, pop. And then I have Fogblade, Tier Scale. I have Boots. And then also, I would have the Dante that I wasn't supposed to detach because I forgot about Mystic Mine. It happens everywhere. I know it does affect everything, but in that moment, I wasn't thinking that. So he would lose really hard. So I really don't think it was smart for him to make this play. He's just really lucky that I don't play Phoenix. So now, he's going to turn off his mind. He's ready. Now I'm going to use Beatrice. He's going to Ash. So this is where Dante being a material is relevant just for recurring a Sir. Just so I can have more resources to play with. But I'm gonna be able to break his board because he is gonna make a board, which is pretty crazy how dinos can pop off with Lost World and just attacking a token. So Conductor is gonna kill everything. Smack, send it to grave. Attack for 18, 200 life points left, and I'm making a comeback. So before he sticks a Negator or before he summons like any rank 4 like. Anything that I could think of, I decide to use Fogblade early before I see rank 4. Summon Rusty and trigger Tier Scale. And he sticks Pankratops on the field. He's going to go miss. Now he's going to overlay into Doka. Man, like he really popped off. So now he has Doka, Conductor, and Pankratops. He's going to Doka one of my PKs. I'm going to Ogre. He's going to Doka that. And then triggering, I think I triggered Tier Scale. Or no, I just grabbed the Boots. So now what I'm doing is forcing out Conductor by summoning Breaksword to Rusty Zone, and he's going to have to Conductor literally the Breaksword. Dang. And then he Pankratops my Tour Guide, and then Graph hits the field. So then I'm going to dump Gloves off of Rusty, set Fogblade. So as you guys can see, this is what I was talking about with this deck. I played through Pankratops, Conductor, and Doka, and look it, I'm still going. He didn't stop me. And that was like, honestly, when Dinos go first, this is probably like the best board they can put up. Is Doka, Tyranno, Pankratops. And as you guys can see, all I had was Tour Guide. But the beauty of PK Fire is you can make plays with no cards in hand. And that's facts. My grave was set up, so like it was almost like my graveyard was my hand in that instance. So now I'm going to Levy Air. I'm going to bring back the Boots from Banish Zone. Trigger Graph to summon Surge to get back my Cherubini. Which... I think, unless I didn't summon Dante, I should just summon Dante. Then I'm going to dump Boots, grab my rank up launch. I think that was my last target. And then look it. This is where I lost because I thought these both had 1800 attack. I was so dumb for that. I was so dumb. I should have just passed turn. Knowing that this only had 1800 attack, he's going to top deck into Valor, which means basically I Fogblade Oviraptor, he loses because I can actually just Breaksword his Oviraptor and then I win that duel. But because I didn't read on Rusty's attack, I lost, which really sucks. This is versus Dino again. Oh, nothing showed up? Okay. Game 1. There we go. Pause. Wow, his hand's insane. He has the combo. He opened combo. We both opened combo. This is so funny. We both opened combo and a hand trap. Ash versus Ogre, I think his hand trap's better than my hand trap. I'd rather have Ash than Ogre. If I was in my position, I'd rather have Ash against Dinos than Ogre. And I think for him, it's the same thing. So who's going first though? Okay, this time I go first. So I'm good. I have PK plus Boots. Really good way to start your combo. Dump Tier Scale for cost. I summon Sir to play around Gamma and Ogre. And as you guys can see, I'm just popping off now. Tier Scale is going to go ahead and discard Gloves for cost. Get Raider's Wing. I cut Raider's Wing. I no longer play it. It came up like once or twice. Because it didn't come up enough, I just put in a card that I knew would come up way more. And as you guys can see, I summoned Break Sword. So I'm going to summon Future. And so as you guys can see, this did help me in this hand. Because I wanted to stick Future up. Because I feel like when your opponent's holding a hand trap, they're going to wait for Rusty. So what I pretty much, unless I resolve Rusty's effect, I'm not sure. But I'm pretty sure that I summon Future. I use Wing, that's why I summon the Break Sword, because it's a dark to use Wing to summon. And then I have Cherubini plus Wing makes Break Sword. So I stick Future up first. And then I make Break Sword. Yeah, so now I'm resolving Rusty so I can just stop it. Because Rusty's going to get me the Kali Yuga lock. So what I did was pretty smart. I stuck my Negator up. And this card's pretty broken. Even against Dinos. Like if they don't have Miscellaneous Source, whatever you negate on field is yours forever. You know what that means? You negate Conductor. Conductor belongs to you now. It's like it's yours forever. You just take it and now you Conductor them right back. The ironic thing, like this card is so crazy. It's so strong. Oh my goodness, man. Any deck that can make this, including Zodiac, should be playing it. It's like the Zeus, that XYZ Zeus monster. I might have to squeeze Zeus in here too. So I have combo though, so this Dino player is gonna lose. His Ash what he did was smart. He did hold Ash for Rusty, but what I also did was smart because I put up my negate before I went into Rusty because I know Rusty's more important than those two rank 3s. And as you guys can see, I had so many extenders that I was able to do this and still go into the combo with Rusty. So like he lost pretty hard there. And then this is Dino again, game 2. So it looks like the Dino player got 2-0'd. Actually, I beat every Dino player except for that one game where I thought Rusty had 1800 attack for some reason. So this is the same one. I sided in Gamma Seal and some other stuff. I only drew Gamma Seal, but I have combo. Obviously, for me, it's easier to play through negates than a Conductor, so I'm going to Gamma Seal Conductor 100%. He's going to open Extravagance. It's going to draw him really nice. So his hand's a lot better. It was a decent hand, but it just got way better. He has combo. He's going to miss Protect Obi. To be honest, if you have Misk in hand, you can just normal summon Oviraptor, and then you can activate Misk if your opponent chains a hand trap. So like, unless you directly search Misk when you just have it in hand, I like to just summon Oviraptor, so my opponent can just waste the hand trap. Just get it out the way. So if they have that Ash, Imperm, or Gamma, you can just chain Miscellaneous Source to it, which is really busted. And this is not once per turn. So another thing too that comes up is like, if your opponent tries to Gamma this, you can chain a second one, which is really cool. The once per turn affects the graveyard effect, but it's either way it works. I just like to make my opponent waste a hand trap. Orcust Sword's gonna pop. He unfortunately didn't have the baby, so he had to start with Petite Ranodon. He's gonna go Conductor, Pankra, and Imperm. So he has Imperm, Conductor, and Pankra. Still 3 interrupts. I did open the Kaiju. And Pankratox's Infinite Impermanence is not hard to play around with this deck. No cap. So he's gonna Imperm my Cherubini. Okay, that's fine. I'm going to dump Farfa for cost, and then I'm going to... So Pankratox was getting baited period point blank. The Imperm is not going to stop me. I'm just going to keep going. So I'm going to get this engraved. And what I'm going to do next, what am I going to search? Okay, I'm going to search for Tier Scale, and I'm going to summon Sir, and then I set Fogblade. Okay, what did I do wrong in that play? Oh, that's what happened. He popped the Cherubini. That's why I couldn't make Rusty. Never mind. So yeah, I had to do that. So I played through it all, but all I could end on was Sir and Fogblade. So that kind of sucks. Dang. I set myself up for next turn. I need to... Okay, so I Fogbladed his Conductor. I just need to top deck. Not even top deck. I just need to have another turn. Because I have enough. Normal Sir dies, go into Cherubini, pay cost Cherubini, dump Gloves. Every turn, you just start off turns... Sometimes turns get stronger than the first one with this deck. Like, you just have so much gas, so much. Rusty's going to target Conductor, and then he's going to Imperm Conductor, turn off the Fogblade. To be honest, I should have just used Break Sword to target himself and the Conductor. So that way, even though he chains Conductor, I can use Breaksword's Graveyard effect because it's getting destroyed to go into Verde Anaconda. So now, simply because I didn't use Breaksword to target himself, I couldn't make Anaconda. That does make a difference. I mean, I have Fogblade for his top deck, so he can't do anything, and I have Ogre. But the difference versus having a Fogblade is I still am going to have a Fogblade, but all I have to do is use Breaksword to target himself. Conductor gets chained because I'm targeting himself and Conductor. He dies. Conductor will book, but because his effect results, he's still going to destroy himself. And then I get the Graveyard effect, summon 2, go into Verde Anaconda, summon Dragoon, pop, and then I'm going to go, I think that's almost game, yeah. So definitely got it against Dinos, against Dragon Link, against, I really just don't want to show the Adamantipator game because it was very underwhelming. Oh yeah, that's Orcust versus Adamanticators. So let's see. Dragma Shaddolls, okay. Mekk-Knight Invoke. Mekk-Knight Invoke's good. Orcust is also really fire. Orcust is fire. And I went all the way to game 3 with that. Wow, so that one must be good. 2 turns here, 2 turns there. 3 turns there. Okay. So let's see with this one. This might be the last one because I'm like an hour and 15 minutes in already, you guys. So he has combo in his hand, but I'm going first. Cherubini. I do have Ogre. It's better for me to have at least one hand trap. So as you guys see, this is going to be full combo. He doesn't have a hand trap. So actually, this duel is pretty much over already. Before like he even gets his turn. It's almost like an FTK. It's really funny. So I'm going to go into double, and I'm going to search double or nothing. Like, this is the combo. You guys have seen this already in this video. I'm going to discard the free fodder, use sword to get the grease back so I can go Levier, get my follow-up. I just want to keep everything in my grave that I can get. Dump gloves. Now I'm going to dump sword. I'm going to use sword, summon Tear, go into Dante, use cloak, search this so I don't mill it off Dante. Dante mill 3, I dump more traps, go into the F0, now I'm going to summon Kaiser. So I've just stuck the Kaiser. Sometimes you feel like your opponent's holding a hand trap, and it is smart to summon Future before you do anything like crazy. And he just lost. I already have lethal on board. So game 2, he obviously got game 2 because we went to game 3. And I think he's doing something very similar to me. He's just locking me out. And Scrap Recycler is full combo because Rusty's legal. He's for sure gonna be able to True King of all Chlamydia me. And he's doing the Scrap Wyvern too, so this is just like really crazy. Like everything's gonna be able to pull off. So I'm just gonna watch this gonna happen. He's gonna resolve Scrap Recycler to dump 3 times. Leave, go ahead and set. Obviously get Golem. Okay, and resolve Scrap Recycler for the 3rd time, because the card's not once per turn. And the Recycler is going to dump Skeletor, and he's gonna go Link Cross. So yeah, this is combo for sure. Tribute one of those, get Link Creepo. Yep, that's smart. And then Nightmare Away. To be honest, you might as well make Appaloosa. You have materials to do it. Rusty only takes 3 darks. It's not hard to make them. This is a dark. So I feel like you should use Leap, Link Cross, and Link Creepo, which equals 4 to make Appaloosa for 3. And then just use the Barricade Blocker and the Nightmare. I don't know if he can still... Well, he has a Roshi, so if he has to use it now, he should use it. But I just think, unless it makes his combo, like, not playable, I think you should go into Appaloosa. Like, especially, yeah, Leap. But he's actually setting up to use IP via Leap to Link and trigger Leap. And he's just going to summon Appaloosa on my turn. He's going to get Fogblade, Skeletor, go into that. Ding, attach the Skeletor. Go into IP. Search for the rank up, yep, and that's going to be True King of all Chlamydia, and I'm not going to be able to do much against that. He's going to tribute, summon Link Creepo. I think he's waiting, yeah, because he wants to get the most out of his IP via the lead. So I'm going to special, because I have level 3, it's going to die. I'm going to normal summon Cloak. He's going to pop and send. So he's cleared 4 cards from my field before he went into VFD. And he should have just called Dark on Resolution to not let me get a search. But, in all fairness, I guess all I was going to be able to do is just set Shade Brigadine, summon it, and then special boots and pass, and that's not enough. It's game. So I lost that one. That was crazy. He got rid of 4 cards on my field. Oh man. So I'm going first. He doesn't have a hand trap again, so he already lost. Oh man, this feels like a meta mirror match. It's like when you play like Dragon Link versus Dragon Link and the one doesn't open a hand trap, or Noble Knight mirror match when it's just like combo decks when you don't open a hand trap. Like dang. And the combos me and the Orcust player are doing, like these are you can't play Yu-Gi-Oh combos. Dragon Link just sets up extra deck lock and a couple negates. Not every deck loses to that. And Noble Knight sets up hand loop for 1 and a couple interrupts, and not every deck loses to that either. But these are absolute hardcore, no monster effects, no effects, lingering for the rest of the turn. See, these are stronger locks. As you guys can see, I'm doing my normal thing. I'm going to go into 2 non-numbers. I'm going to go into future. I'm going to go into future dragon. I'm going to search for my rank up. Then I'm going to resolve Kaiser. So I started making a habit out of that, it seems like, for these replays, just to be safe. Wait for him to commit a card. Like, alright, that's a bet. And then I'm going to rank up. And he's going to lose. He's going to summon Apprentice. He's going to go into Galatea. He's going to go into Rusty. He's going to special boots. He's going to do the best he can to survive. I'm going to tell Yuga to get rid of the Babel before he summons Dean. Even though Dean can't detach anyways, I just do it anyways. And starting my turn off, I'm definitely going to be able to break this board. So I'm going to go into Break Sword. Target Kaiser, it can't be destroyed, so I get a free pop. Boost the Break Sword so I can just go for game. In all fairness, I should have just summoned Rusty and just put the Break Sword to his zone, but I had game no matter what. So 3k and then 35, and that's GG no re. So yeah, you guys, there's a lot more replays. I still have games versus Mech Knight Invoke, Numeron Eldritch, against Sky Strikers, against Glad Beast. I barely lost. I'm 2-0 Adamants for sure. That's guaranteed. I 2-0'd Combo Thunder Dragon. I beat a lot of dinos. I beat dang near every Dragma deck I played. I beat Dragon Link. Invokes were all not even that difficult. Some were kind of. I'm really trying to think what game. Oh yeah, Zodiacs was probably the deck that gave me a big run for my money. Some of these duels were just really long, like very long. But yeah, you guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I have more PK Fire duels, so if you guys want to see them on a separate video, we can. I'm going to have to end this video because it's getting too long, and it's definitely getting to be about that time. Our Father which art in heaven, hallelujah, Jesus. Thy kingdom come, and thy will be done on earth. Hallowed be thy name, Lord Jesus. And thy kingdom come, and thy will be done on earth just as it is in heaven. Lord Jesus, please give us this day our daily bread, and please forgive us of our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, Father, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the glory, and the power forever. In the mighty name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth, I pray. Thank you, Father. Amen. Alright, you guys, that is going to end the video. This is the list again. It's pretty fire. A lot of trial and error got me to where this is, and I'm very satisfied with the results. I don't know if I would make any changes now. I've been making changes even today and yesterday, and I'm pretty set on this. The BA count has went up and down. It's fluctuated, but I think this is a really good ratio on consistently opening at least 1 or 2. If it's 1, you could still summon Dante and discard the only BA to go to Beatrice. You guys saw I rarely summon Beatrice because she's kind of like Verde Anaconda when you think about it. She's just a backup plan. Your main goal is Kali, and your backup win conditions are Redoer with Trap, Beatrice, Verde, Dragoon, Fog Blades, the F-Zero Future. So you do have multiple win conditions. It's not just all Kali Yuga, but you have a lot of firepower with this deck, a lot of boss monsters that are standalone cards. So yeah, that's pretty much it, you guys. Hopefully you guys have the attention span to sit through this whole entire video. Peace.